We flipped the finger to the King of England. Stole our country from the Indians. With all of our tribes and guns in our hands, looking for our own. Build a nation dedicated to liberty, justice and equality. Doesn't look that way to you, it doesn't look that way to me. Stick and joke, I know. Listen up and I'll tell you who I am.
And welcome to the first session of the Congress of the Working Class. I'm your host, Mike. I am here with Johnny and Esworthy. Hello.
Hello.
And for anybody who is familiar with all of us, we were formerly Viewed from the Bottom. We decided to go through a rebranding process, try some new stuff. But welcome back if you were listening to us before, and if you're new, welcome. Any which way. So, essentially, a show is going to be is what the name of it is. It's a forum for public speech and discussion of things that are going on in our country, and we're pegged towards working class because we're a huge part of this country. So we are the ones who should be making the decisions. So anyway, one of the first things I want to talk about is a big story that came up. I know it's kind of blown over and we're kind of a little lagging behind on it, but Mr. Todd Akins and his legitimate rape comments. I just want to say that I hope somebody legitimately rapes him. Yeah, but
his body will reject it.
If his ass cheeks clamp tight enough, it's a possibility. He is a Republican, so it's a possibility they're already in that position. But he's, I don't know. He then recanted, kind of, and said that somehow he was misinformed.
No, he misspoke, is what he said.
He did also say that.
But I think he just, it's another case of politician foot and mouth disease. I mean, it's just people saying stupid shit.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't put me past the fact that this guy believes it, because if you look at a ton of the legislation that Republicans have tried to pass when it comes to women's rights, it's all kind of stupid shit like this.
That's true, but I don't think what he said specifically.
I think he said what they actually think.
I don't know.
He got caught.
I think that they said. I think that he took a lot of liberty with that particular soundbite. That's why the Republicans came down hard on him afterwards, although, again, that could be the result of the political science thing, saying, oh, you can't say that, it's outside of the equation. Well,
I want people to say stuff like that because it shows what kind of idiots they are. So, that's what bothers me about these people being in office, is the fact that this guy is on the, the science, and he's on the science committee and something else.
No, that's a problem.
Yeah. But see, that's the problem is you look at Michelle Bachmann, she is on the Intelligence Committee. Okay? This is something that has ran rampant through our Congress.
Well, same with Pelosi and, all those
people.
And
the head building at Langley for the CIA is called the George Bush Center for Intelligence, so apparently intelligence doesn't mean what it's supposed to.
George Bush Sr. because he worked there.
I know.
He ran
I know who worked there. I know why they did it. I still think it's really funny.
It was pretty damn funny.
Yeah. And, that was in the middle.
It's kind of like calling it Reagan National Airport when he was the one that fired all of the
all the air traffic controllers.
Yeah.
Oh, the wonderful ironies.
I don't get that one, but okay.
No, he fired all the Union, air traffic control or whatever.
Oh, yeah, I thought you said fired. I was like, what the?
Yeah. No, he fired all the air traffic controller guys, the guys on the grounds with the wands or whatever. Yeah, he fired all of them, and then they named an airport after later.
That's probably an act of Congress or something. Yeah,
I'm sure.
Airport after Reagan because he destroyed the Russians.
It was an act of douchebaggery, but
and of course, Reagan's. I think it was Reagan's. The guys that he put in the EPA all got investigated for like basically selling out the world to the industries. So now they need like a Reagan conservatory or something. nature conservatory.
Well, what they'll do is they'll turn around and let the oil companies start drilling in national parks, and they'll rename it the Reagan National.
Mm-hmm.
Not a bad idea, but well, it would shut a lot of people up.
What, let them go drill in national parks?
Yeah.
Oh.
I tell you what, it would shut up the tree huggers because there wouldn't be any trees left. Okay.
So this is going to go into my next topic that I was going to talk about, which is being you talk about the tree huggers is climate change. And the reason I want to talk about this is because of the amount of wildfires that are happening out west.
Actually, it's not unusual.
Actually, it is way above average this year. We have almost from north, New Mexico, and almost in a straight line up from New Mexico over to California has been a record number of wildfires this year. And if you look at the amount that has happened over the past decade, it's almost tripled in numbers. So the thing is that, I mean, a lot of people don't understand why climate change is climate change, but this is exactly it. Between that, the wicked amount of storms we've had, just this, I'd say the last 6 months in and of themselves. I don't think I can recall seeing so many thunderstorms in a row in my entire life.
I don't know. I've lived in this area all my life, and I remember some pretty damn wicked thunderstorms from back in the day.
I'm not talking about just a single wicked.
No, I mean like chains of storms, like every day, several storms, weird weather.
This has been going on for a month, if not longer.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think I can recall ever seeing months where it's been this wicked. But, I mean, the thing is that the Earth is warming. It's been proven time and time again. The problem is that we're not catching what the cause is.
We see that's the contentious issue, though, is like the anthropomorphic climate change or anthropogenic climate change as opposed to natural climate change, which the Earth's gone through many, many times in its history. At one point, the Earth was a solid frozen ball of ice because there was too much oxygen.
But my question is then, shouldn't we do everything we can to not make it happen for us so we don't all die from it?
Yeah, like we understand how it works to be able to formulate a diagnosis like that.
No, it would be pretty much try
way.
to be as least amount of painful to the Earth as possible so it doesn't decide to kick us off. I mean, I'm not saying that we should be, running around drinking soy lattes and, wearing hemp pants, but...
Well, considering the reason they destroy more rainforests than anything else is actually because they're tearing down trees to grow soy, that would probably be a bad idea. But, because I think soy is one of Brazil's largest exports, if I remember
The delicious
correctly.
export.
I thought that was cocaine, but okay.
No, that's Colombia. So,
Fair enough.
Brazil pretty much exports soy and not women. But no, but the big difference, Swarthy, between normal, like the cycles of climate change and what has happened before and now, is that the temperature and the amount of carbon in the air typically stay right on par. They're pretty much run parallel. The big difference now is that carbon's on a J curve and temperatures stayed about the same. So it's never really existed in history where the levels sit the way they are. So we're not really sure what is going to happen because of it, and whether
if carbon is on a dramatic increase and temperatures are remaining the same, then how can it be claimed that carbon in the atmosphere is the major pollutant? Because obviously our data...
I didn't say temperatures stayed the same. It's stayed more on par. It's rising, but it's rising at what would be somewhat considered normal levels for a swing.
Okay,
but it's not staying parallel to the carbon level.
We don't have real-time data from back.
Let me explain something here. Hold on a second. Let me explain something. Okay, listen. Okay, so you have the Earth, right? You have the atmosphere on the outside of it. You have I'm actually drawing a diagram in front of myself so I can actually explain this to you effectively. Okay? So, essentially what happens is the sun blasts us with rays.
More than that, actually, but okay.
Any which way. You get what I'm saying about it. It hits our atmosphere. It allows... Our atmosphere allows so much to go through, which is why the ozone layer was so important, because it blocked out a lot of stuff. But of course, Reagan didn't care about that, so we don't have much of that left. So the stuff is breaking through. On top of that, the way the northern and southern ice caps work was, since you have this white, it reflects the lights back out. Okay, but see, when it reflects the lights back out, not all of the rays are making it back out because of the pollution in the air. So when it hits the thing, it bounces back down, hits again, bounces down, hits back again, and essentially it's just creating a giant oven, as opposed to being able to get back out, because you have this layer of stuff that we have gotten into because of the amount of pollution that there is. So as the temperature heats up, it is drying out crops, which is why we're having record droughts. It's also causing the wildfires that we're seeing on a regular basis, and it's also causing the fact of the water to rise because it is melting the ice caps at record rates. So these are all the things that go with climate change, and this is how it works. Whether or not, there is man-made pollution or it's natural stuff that's breaking it down, the thing is that we should be looking at ways to try to make it less impactful. Anything that we do less impactful on trying to keep the amount of gunk out of the air, the amount of trees that we got in the air that can absorb some of this. Since we're just straight leveling entire forests, so somebody can have some paper for their printer,
And their soybean lattes.
And their soybean lattes, exactly. So I mean, and that's what it boils down to. I mean, we should be looking at ways to try to effectively. We know all these things are happening, and we know that they're being caused by different chemicals that we've had in the air, more likely man-made than natural, and that's why you're seeing a spike in carbon and stuff like that in the atmospheres, because we are putting more of it in the air, which is what is trapping that in and warming up the earth. It's not necessarily that all of a sudden, we're all going to just die. The problem is we're slowly eroding everything away simultaneously. We're eroding away the ice caps, which are making the water level rise. We're also destroying the air quality. And it's not just us. I mean, you think about China. Their atmosphere, their smog was so bad you couldn't even see when they were doing the Olympic Games. So I mean, it's not just us. It's a global problem. It really legitimately is. And the fact that people dispute that there's anything going on, and that they dispute that any of it's man-made, is ridiculous. The Industrial Revolution came, and that's what started it. Okay, and I'm not saying that we should, regulate everything to the point of where we can't create anything. My thing is that we need to be paying attention. I mean, we need to have a conscience about it. I'm not saying that we need to regulate, but us as a society have this fucking this attitude of, oh, fuck it, it's not affecting me right now, so I'll do whatever the shit I damn well please. And that's what's been going on. And it's, like I said, it's slowly eroding. Eventually it's going to get to a tipping point where we won't be able to reverse any of this, and we won't be able to make any of it better. And it's a possibility by, I believe it was Stephen Hawking who said he thinks we're already past it. He thinks we're already past that. And that's Stephen Hawking saying he thinks we're already past that. So I mean...
Stephen Hawking's not a climatologist, though.
Yeah, but he is a fucking genius. So
No,
I trust his opinion. I trust his opinion.
Technically, I'm a genius, too, so respect.
I don't respect your opinion. No, I'm just
I know.
I'm joking. But I mean, my thing is that, it is a real problem. There is real science behind it. Now, it'd be great if we could figure out what's causing all these things to coincide together and make this bad shit happen. A nice definitive thing. But I've heard cow farts.
I've heard it was the Republicans.
Well, that's elephant farts, so it's a possibility. But I mean, it's we have, I don't know how many billions of cars on the planet right now spew nothing but carbon dioxide out, and it doesn't help that we're putting a lot of carbon dioxide in, but we're also cutting the trees away and taking away the plants that would filter it out. The ocean also has a big deal to do with that. It also has a vital role to play in carbon reduction.
Well, I'm not disputing that climate change isn't occurring. Okay, I just dispute the I guess self-effacing attitude that a lot of people have, where it's only us that could possibly be causing this.
No, I believe
But
naturally.
that's the big thing they're talking about, though, is that we're solely, exclusively, and without natural intervention destroying the planet.
Okay,
And that's the
whoever
planet-
you're hearing say that is an idiot.
Right.
There's plenty of natural causes.
Right.
There's plenty of other things that cause the volcanoes. There's plenty of other things that cause the carbon level, but not.
I know that. I know that.
We are. Here's the thing, though, is that the Earth's functioned with those things for thousands of years. The difference is that when you've had.
Well, by Christians,
what's
only
that?
2,000. But anyway.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands, whatever.
5,000.
You know what I'm saying?
Billions
you jackass.
over your
Yeah.
Billions.
I'm tired. Whatever. Either way, yeah, it's 4,000 years old, according to Jesus. But but no, I mean, the what they argue is that humans changed the balance, where before the Earth was able to absorb enough that it didn't make a difference. We've put it over the tipping point where it's going up rather than down. We've put it over the point where it's able to absorb it.
That's bullshit, though, because you look at the various,
Now, are you arguing your thought process, or are you arguing the thought process of the things you've heard? Because I want us to have a discussion not necessarily built on the things that you've heard. I want to know legit.
No. This is my thought process here.
Okay.
Our planet, in its past, has gone through a solid ball of rock, okay, to steaming hot everything, and back again, hundreds of times, okay?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Without our intervention, mind you, okay? Now, saying that we're tipping the balance, it's already been to these extremes, okay? Saying that it's unprecedented is not the case.
It's unprecedented for us, okay? That's what
In history, perhaps, but we just came out of an ice age. It's getting fucking warmer. No shit.
Well, I've heard this argument before, and the thing is yes, it will go through the natural up and down cycle, and it will continue to go through the natural up and down cycle. I'm sure we'll eventually wind up in another flaming ball or an ice age at some point in time. But at the same time, we can say that we're accelerating it because we're looking at, okay, well, our temperature was rising. Our temperature was rising and our carbon was rising, but then all of a sudden the Industrial Revolution hit. Our temperature spiked 5 degrees. Now, 5 degrees doesn't sound like much, but in the whole scheme of Earth, it's a lot. And on top of that, our carbon looks like a hockey stick with the way it shot up. So it's like, okay, that coincided around the same time of the Industrial Revolution. All of a sudden, things start going fucking wonky, and we haven't done anything for the past 100 years or so to try to make it any better.
That's not that true. Al Gore invented the electric car.
That tends to wind up fucking up more shit than what it's worth because of the materials it's made out of.
And I'm not saying we don't have an influence on climate. We obviously do. But I think the real argument point here is how much influence we have on the climate, and if we can actually influence the climate to go the other way.
Well, think about the fact of what we did in the Industrial Revolution. We started burning coal. And when we started burning coal is when we started throwing carbon in the air. And then we ran trains, factories, everything on coal and heat, and wood. So we're burning, putting smut in the air. And then on top of that, we wind up getting to the point where we're just leveling forests for houses, other paper products. So you can have a disposable cup, when you pee in it. It's just...
I don't pee in cups that often.
But I mean, for like going to my McDonald's and having a nice cup to drink out of, You
didn't pee on it, did you?
Yes, I did. But
but
but the thing is, we started leveling all this stuff, and the thing is yes, we can say that oh, well, man, he's just here for just a blink of an eye. The problem is that if you know anything about the human race, we're a destructive fucking species.
Well, that's no argument there.
So, I mean, why is it so hard for you to believe, then, that we could be the cause of this?
Because one super volcano puts out enough aerosol pollutants that would dwarf our entire pollution outlet from the dawn of man.
But
okay?
you're forgetting one point. We're fucking up the things that clean all that up. We're fucking taking away the trees. We're fucking up the water. We're fucking up everything that would make that better. That's where the problem comes in. Yes, it's going to be natural shit that happens, and the Earth would be able to correct itself, but we are so destructive and so intrusive that we are fucking up the cycle of how the Earth would repair itself.
Well,
and in turn, we're making things worse.
Maybe we shouldn't survive it. If we can't hack it, we can't survive. That's the deal.
And you're right, and that is completely Darwinism.
It is totally selfish.
And you're right, it is.
It's a planet for us.
But we have a idea of self-preservation.
No, hold on. It's not... to say that it's selfish for fixing the planet for us, it's not... It's not like, if you're just doing it to fix it for us, then yeah, it sounds kind of fucked up. How about the idea that maybe we should just be good fucking stewards in the first place? Like, why the fuck
is it? Good idea.
Why is it such a shitty concept? Regardless of the consequences, regardless of whether you believe in climate change, regardless of whether you believe in any of it, why is it not a good thing just to make shit that doesn't fucking tear shit up? To fucking have companies have to clean up after themselves. That would be an honest part of the process. Like, when a company digs up and mines and fucks everything up, we teach our children that they have to clean up after themselves. Why does a company not be responsible for doing the same thing? Why is that not part of the cost as far as what they do? Like, they just shouldn't have to keep it clean because, that would be expensive.
Because your child can have your billions of dollars.
If it's capitalism that if something's not profitable, it goes away. Then if digging up coal and burning it and actually having to clean up after it's not profitable, then maybe we should stop doing it and they should find a different fucking way.
Well, apparently it is profitable, though.
Only if they don't clean up. Only if they don't do what they're supposed to do.
Right. Well,
only
that's
if they're bad stewards.
That's what that does.
But I understand that, but that's bullshit.
Yeah, it is bullshit.
So
you have to balance.
Everybody argues that we shouldn't have to clean up and we shouldn't be clean because it's because it's going to hurt the economy or it's not profitable. It's not profitable for them to go through every step they're supposed to go through just to be decent fucking human beings. So if they can't do that, then why? I mean, I don't get it. That's what I don't understand.
Here's what it is. You're causing a self-fulfilling prophecy here because you're saying, well, if you're too stupid, you're too lazy to clean up after yourself. Essentially, what Swarthy said is going to happen. We're too stupid for our own good, and we deserve to be off the planet. And that's essentially what it is.
But I'm not too stupid.
And maybe you'll be the one who'll survive.
But it won't be because everybody else will do what they need to do. Why should my descendants die off because somebody else's fucking, ancestors were too fucking stupid to do what they needed to do?
What do you think about something for a minute, okay? All right, this green utopia, right, where nothing produces pollution or anything like that. You have to balance that out with the quality of life of our current population, which is too great, I might add, okay? And say, all right, well, if we don't have these cheap, easy industrial processes, including farming, okay, that appear to be damaging the environment, all right, what's the quality of life going to be for the average person? They're going to be living in the fucking Stone Age or living like people over in Africa, and I'm pretty sure you don't want to live like that.
About the 1800s would be all right.
So you want to turn back the clock then on progress?
No, I think that we can. I believe that we can live like Native Americans did in balance with the.
I don't think we can.
I think we could. I think if our society decided to pull their head out of their ass and actually started paying attention to the shit that's going on around them, instead of being self-centered narcissists, then it would make all the difference.
I don't want to live like a fucking druid. Okay.
I'm not saying you should live like a druid. I'm not saying that these things shouldn't exist. I'm saying that if we could have an entire industry and a job boom if somebody could find a way to make this stuff without hurting the environment.
But you can't generate electricity without heat.
Yes, you can. What about hydroelectric? You don't have to create heat.
It generates heat.
Well, not to the point of
chemical reaction, and your end process is water. But you still got to process that hydrogen out of whatever you need to get it. In order to get that, you need electricity to begin with.
My thing is that you don't have to dump millions of pounds of carbon in the air to make one tire. You know, I mean, there's got to be a better way to do it. You know, the greatest
tires now.
No, the greatest minds in our country should be the ones finding ways to do this better and could build an entire industry off of it. If people would get off their, get their fucking snobby noses out of the air, going,
Actually, the days of Nikola Tesla are over, and all the great minds gravitate to where the money is, which is in the corporations which are doing this shit to begin with.
Exactly.
So,
it's a societal problem, as we've seen a million times over.
Well, yeah, in a way. But it's also regulation, because there's a lot of regulatory hurdles nowadays to overcome in innovation.
And
especially
people just straight up don't give a shit. They want their iPhones no matter, they want their iPhone no matter what it does to the environment or how the people are treated that make it. They want their house to look pretty regardless of how functional it is. There's a lot of stuff there's stuff that we used to do to, that would cut down on energy costs and things like that. Like, do you remember the old windows over top of the doors in the old houses?
Mm-hmm.
They were actually a functional way to, move air around in a house.
Yeah, but now we have an easy, convenient thing called an air conditioner.
That we don't need to use all the time that we use it.
Well, I have my windows open right now in my house because I like to have a nice fresh breeze blowing through my area. Okay.
I don't want to think about your area, but go on.
And at least my sleeping area, my computer area where I am now, it gets really damn hot in here, so I have an air conditioner. Okay. Because I'm on the south-facing or west-facing house, and on my porch in the evening on a 90-degree day, it's 120 degrees. So that comes right in the window. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to segue away from climate change here with let's talk about Hurricane Isaac and it trying to take out the Republican Party.
Oh God, what?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting because I heard Rush Limbaugh tried to claim it was a conspiracy from Obama.
Well, there are weather control projects like HARP, the High Altitude Auroral Research Project.
Yeah.
Changes the upper limits of the atmosphere reflecting flow of the various things go on to control weather.
So you think Obama a couple months ago went down towards Africa, seeded it, so it would come and destroy the Republican National Convention?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying it's within the realm of possibility. I'm not saying it's true.
I don't think it's even remotely.
I'm assigning it a probability of being true.
I don't think it's possible.
Probably about 1%.
Yeah.
No, I think it's funny. If there's a disaster down there at the Republican National Convention, I don't think it's legitimate.
Well, he was trying to say, yeah. It was funny because he was trying to say that Obama, the reason he wanted it to happen was because we could have FEMA camps set up around it.
Well, they already have all the infrastructure in place for that. Yeah. Out in Western Maryland, there was a place, if you go out Route 68, turn left onto this road to go down to a place called Westernport, they had about 10,000 mobile homes set up on top of a mountain. And it was a FEMA site. It's interesting. And they're gone now. I wonder where they went.
They're in Florida.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is another interesting bit. I just wanted to point that out, but and I wanted to make things a little lighter there.
It happens.
But I also wanted to talk about something. I happened to come across a story about racial profiling. And I was thinking about this. You think about racial profiling, okay? When they think
you gotta be racist?
No. What I'm thinking about this scenario, it really doesn't have anything to do with race. It essentially boils down to what they try to pick out is okay. Do people go to a mosque? Do people wear this type of clothing? Do people have this type of facial hair? You people have this. So essentially, what they're doing is they're picking out specific things that a race does, but then not calling it a race. But the other thing that kind of caught me about this was I was thinking about, like, okay, well, when you go into profiling, you start to think about the people's psyche, who it is that you're trying to profile. So you're trying to follow these people around who think a certain way. Don't you then become the thought police?
Well, yeah.
You're trying to anticipate their thought process?
Law enforcement, by its very nature, cannot be proactive. Okay? And the fact that so many law enforcement agencies now are attempting to be proactive is saying, we're going to arrest you before you commit a crime. Therefore, you can think about that in a logical causality loop here. Okay? You're actually being arrested for something you haven't done.
Right.
Okay, and this is big with the whole FBI putting people in the,
Guantanamo?
Well, no, groups of people, and then inciting them to do things.
Right.
You've heard about this, like the agent provocateurs.
Yes.
And I actually had a thought specifically about the all the anti-Muslim attitudes that are prevalent in today's media and in law enforcement. Is that in the 1920s, when Hitler was coming to power, he needed one of the theories about the whole Jewish thing wasn't that he had anything in it for the Jews, but that he needed a scapegoat for the people to rally around in order for him to be able to manipulate them into his doing what he wanted, basically.
Okay.
He couldn't have been like everybody else and just used the French.
Well, he did that. No, anyway. No, think about that. And think about the parallels we have today about how basically half of our political institutions is rallying around this anti-Muslim attitude, and they're manipulating people by it. We've seen this. There was a mosque in, I think, Arkansas that was burned like 3 or 4 times in as many weeks.
Yes.
Somebody lit it on fire. That's like a trickle-down, like, attitude, like hate. I call it the pretty hate machine.
That's not copywritten at all. Go ahead.
No, not at all. But it's an excellent way. Hate is an excellent way to manipulate people.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's being done today, right now, in our country. It's becoming a and this, because, oh no, you shouldn't do that. But no, it's becoming a fascist state. Okay, and nobody's seeing this as a warning sign. I mean, look at all this, like the Ground Zero mosque, for example. It wasn't anywhere near Ground Zero.
Right.
Okay, it was like a mile away from it.
And it wasn't even in any kind of sacred spot. It was like an old J.C. Penney's or Woolworths or something.
Yeah, exactly. It was like it's a derelict structure that they wanted to renovate to benefit the community.
Right.
And and people have this idea that it's like a terrorist training facility or something. Well, churches look at what a lot of preachers preach in churches. That's just as using the power of fear to manipulate people, aka terrorism, as anything else in any other religious institution in the world. Okay? I mean, like, oh yeah, you must burn the gays and all this other shit.
Yeah.
It's like they can't see the mirror for what it is. It's like they have a disconnect with reality. It's not just religious. Politicians do the exact same thing in secular views. But I mean, it seems to be more prominent in religious things, and they're using religion as a weapon of manipulation.
Yes.
And that's happening in this country today, I posit. Any thoughts on that?
Well, my thing has always been that, religion is evil no matter which way you slice it, only because, it's a double-edged sword. You have people that use it, and they use it as a guide philosophically to be good to people and help people, and
good thing.
Right. And then you have the other side of it, and it's great because they cherry pick. I mean, and it's kind of fucked up because you have the people who are The people who are trying to do the good stuff, they don't want to think about the bad stuff the Bible says. But then if you go to the other side of it, people who use it for hate and fear and everything like that, when you bring up the contradictory points of, hey, doesn't it say you should love thy neighbor? You know, like, oh, well, he's Muslim or gay, so it also says this, you know, so they cherry pick what it is they want to use and what they want to focus on. So, I mean, religion, to me, is just, it's a useless tool, in my opinion. Aesop's fable is much more useful because it doesn't have the hate in it. But my thought was the racial profiling is the fact that how can you profile somebody without being racial? How can you not have some sort of ism without being profiling? Because essentially that's what profiling is. You know, you're trying to put together a picture of a specific individual. So if you say all people with beards and turbans and go to mosques are bad, then you're going to be looking at all of them.
Well, yeah, that's my point, though. I mean, they're being used as a scapegoat.
Well, I'm talking about for anything. I mean, you think about, oh, well, you know what? There's a guy with brown skin driving in Arizona. He must be illegal. You know? But Justin Bieber's a fucking illegal alien. But nobody talks about him.
It's a Canadian.
Yes, he's Canadian. It's because he's white. Nobody gives a shit.
From Canada.
It's like the one time that white people don't matter. If it's a murder, white people matter. If it's an illegal alien, white people don't matter. I don't know. It just kind of struck me as kind of interesting in the fact that it's almost like the thought police, because you're trying to pinpoint what these people are thinking, and then on top of that, everybody's sacrificing all of their rights and their liberties and stuff like that over the fact of this fear mongering. And that's what the Patriot Act was like the pinnacle of.
I agree.
And Department of Homeland Security has cashed in like they won the lottery.
Yeah, it's because they did.
And those two. And I'm not trying to sound all conspiracy theorist, but I'll tell you, man, 9/11 was the best thing that ever could have happened for the government.
Fuck yeah.
Because I mean, it's not, it hasn't done anything for the Americans. We haven't come out more resilient, more stronger. We've grown more fearful and hateful. That's all we've done.
We haven't come out stronger because we handle it like a bunch of retards. But
well, like many false flag operations, that's
now.
what
See,
their
now we're
purpose
going
is
conspiracy theory. But go on.
Can you prove that it's not, though?
Yeah, but you can't prove a
really?
negative.
That's a point. Well, it's got to be a conspiracy because you can't prove that it's not.
You can't prove a negative.
I'm sorry, what?
See, that's the problem with that, is you can't prove a negative. Yes, there are a lot of coincidences.
Yes, but you can have but you can, at the same token, you can take an argument and list the things for it and the things against it.
That's called a debate.
Thing. Yes, I know. And people are debating this.
And you're right, people are debating it.
They're debating the evidence, they're questioning the evidence, and, I personally, I'm not saying that it wasn't somebody from overseas that did it. I'm just saying, well, don't think that our government's hands are clean in the matter.
Exactly.
Okay, hence, it's false flag operation, even if it was conveniently...
Yeah, what was the one that we were talking about, the one where they were talking about doing down in Cuba?
Operation Northwoods, I believe.
Yeah. If anybody listening, or even you, Johnny, I don't know if you've ever heard of it or not. If you get a chance, take a look at what that is, and you'll see some really odd comparisons to what happened on 9/11.
And it makes you wonder. It makes you think, like, maybe.
And these are legitimate government documents.
Yeah.
From the Freedom of Information Act.
This is basically a...
I don't argue that the government does some shady shit, but when I hear all the stuff about, it wasn't really a plane that hit a Pentagon, it was a missile and things like that, it just, drives me crazy.
Look at the video. Look at the video. I'm not trying to convince you any which way, but seriously, look at the video. A 757 is a lot bigger than what hits that building.
Well, 777. That is a small aircraft, if anything. I mean, I was down there, and I saw everything, and it just didn't make sense to me.
I had a friend whose mom works in Arlington and watched the plane go overhead. So, if I'm going to believe anything, I'm going to believe her testimony. You know what I mean? So, and she doesn't work for the government. She works for a private company.
Okay, well, that's a lot of people say things like that. That's why there's UFO reports. I'm serious. I'm serious. It's like what do you call it? Collective illusion or collective hallucination. It's the power of suggestion.
Like mass hysteria.
It's like you remember a plane, and all of a sudden it turns into a jumbo jet because somebody else said it's a jumbo jet. That's actually a proven thing.
Yeah, I've seen that before.
You know,
It's almost like the game Telephone, where you just switch that one little thing, and the next person tells a different story. Good.
exactly, and that's all society is really based upon. You know, really is word of mouth grapevine. I mean, even with our modern technology, it's still word of mouth grapevine.
I'm not joking. I mean, Chris, I mean, seriously. I mean, the only reason that I see a lot of this, the only reason I think a lot of this stuff, and the reason I see a lot of stuff, is because I go and find some of the stuff. Like, I've watched that video. I've watched it in slow motion. I've watched it a couple times. The video,
frames.
and I'm not saying that it wasn't an airplane. I'm just not sure that it was the one they're saying it was. Because it does not, like, I've seen how big the Pentagon is, and I know how big an airplane is, and when you watch the video, it does not look relative.
I just have a hard time believing all the stuff that I see on conspiracy theorist sites on the web.
No, I'm talking about
I mean,
I'm talking about look for the actual video footage from the security camera outside and watch it. They're not doctoring that. That's the actual footage. You make a decision from that. You don't have to read anything about what they think it is. All I'm saying is just watch the video and see if the relative size to you looks right, because that's what I'm saying. It did not look right. I'm not saying it looked like a missile. I'm not saying it looked like a small plane filled with explosives. I'm saying that it did not look like the plane that they suggested it was.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't look right.
To be honest, the only thing that I really question about any of this stuff there is the one thing that it kind of seems odd to me is the plane in Pennsylvania, because they made a big deal about everybody being a hero and trying to take down the plane, and I've kind of wondered if we didn't shoot it down.
Right.
That was one big thing, because the reports that I heard were that there was, when they said there was another plane in the air, then a bunch of fighter jets went off that direction.
Right.
So, you know, what would sound better to the American people? Hey, we had to shoot down our own jet because it was taking over.
White House.
Or the people were heroes and came in and took it over. You know what I mean?
And that's exactly what a false flag operation does.
I mean, that's the part of it that I've questioned. But, you know, just to make it look better and to because you got to, you know, they want to put a hero in everything that, you know, they report.
But
So.
that's the thing, though. The government seems to prefer a lie over the truth as far as what it tells us. You know, it's like they lie to us as a matter of course. You know, and how can you trust anything they say?
Yeah, they're entirely too comfortable with it.
I know. It's not... It's the bureaucracies. It's the whole nothing to see here attitude. You know, it's like they're trying to treat us like children, giving us some bullshit story.
Well, that's because 90% of the American population acts like children.
Well, if they thought that their government trusted them, maybe they would take a little bit more responsibility in their lives, other than being this whole, well, what the fuck does it matter what I do?
Well, now I'm gonna go libertarian here, which is pretty much, well, maybe we should get rid of some of the fucking rules and let them fend for themselves because they've been coddled entirely too long by the government.
Oh, I agree. I agree, and I applaud you for coming over to the light side of the force.
Hey, I told you I wasn't a liberal. You all think I'm a fucking liberal. I have my viewpoints, and sometimes they coincide with them. Sometimes they coincide with other people. So fuck you all. But anyway.
Okay, 90% of the time they're as far left as you can go.
No, because if they were far left, I'd be saluting the Hitler. Okay, so...
That's true.
I'm not that far left.
You say the same thing about the far right.
Yeah, that's true, too. So I try to lie in the middle. But I did want to bring up one other thing. I know we had talked about this before. I don't know if you remember me talking about him. I'm going to move away from the conspiracy theories here. Travis Carter. I don't know if you guys remember me talking about him. He was the young man who was handcuffed in the back of the car and supposedly shot himself.
Oh, in Arkansas?
Yeah. Tennessee or Mississippi or somewhere down.
The autopsy report says that he, while his hands were cuffed behind his back, after being searched twice, he produced a firearm and shot himself in the side of the head.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Which is what I find is interesting about this case. There are two things that just came out. Which is, for one, they didn't check anybody for gun residue.
Including the other person that was allegedly in the car with him.
It was two police officers.
Well, allegedly there was another person, prisoner, in the car.
See, now I didn't hear that. See, I heard everybody else got released and that he was the only one in the car.
Oh, okay. Well, at one point, maybe.
Yeah, and but he, the other thing that's really messed up about this scenario, you know how the police have the dashboard cams?
It conveniently didn't function during this.
Yeah, for the 3 minutes that this supposedly happened, there was no video.
Yeah, that's what happens when you hit delete.
So, I mean, this goes on to a thing of, this is why people think there's a bias in this country, because there generally is.
Well, that's why people think that people don't trust the police because they lie.
Right.
To cover their own asses, basically, or further their own purposes.
Yeah. Well, what I think is messed up is that they didn't bother to do gun residue tests. Like the video footage, I kind of look, I kind of go, okay, you know what? Yeah, it's the police officer's trying to cover his own ass. But the fact that there was a systematic downfall,
it screams cover-up conspiracy.
right? Or complete imbeciles.
Is there a difference?
Yes, because one takes thought, the other one's just dumb luck.
There is something, in fact, called creative incompetence.
Is there?
And it's big in government circles.
I thought that was legitimate imbeciles.
No, some of it's creative. Some of it takes talent to create that kind of stupidity. That doesn't occur in nature.
That depends on what the definition of is. To vote Mr. Clinton. The quote Mr. Clinton, not vote him. Quote him.
Make sure you did vote him.
I don't know if I could have voted then.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Still the pupa stage, huh?
There was a lot of drugs back then. So.
Who the hell, Sarah?
Yeah, so, I think it's really fucked up. I think it's a big injustice. I think that it has not been covered on the news nearly enough. I think, I think our police force is all around the country, all around the world, are failing miserably. And
so why trust the police anymore to do the policing?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, my question is that. Well, yeah. I mean, it's because it's a system of convenience, as everything else is. It's hard to change, so why change it? And that's what it boils down to.
That is a cop out of the sheet.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I guarantee you, if you would talk to anybody, what it really boils down to is that aspect of it. That's why they're not out in the streets over this shit every day. And this is why I applaud the Occupy movement. Yes, they may be dirty, smelly hippies, but at the same time, at least they're out in the fucking street doing something.
You're doing enough, though.
Yeah, they're not yet. But I mean, it's something that's got to turn. The problem is that the idea needs to get big enough to be able to turn the tide, and the problem is they haven't put a big enough case. Or actually, I won't say that. I'll say that the media's worked really hard to discredit their case.
Well, I think that they need to have the money to hire good publicists to give themselves a good image, because right now the people on the other side are hiring the publicists to give them the bad image.
You're right, exactly.
Okay, which is the dirty, smelly, hippie, miscreant.
Right, exactly. All right. Well, on that note, that is the end of the first session of the Congress of the Working Class. So, for all of us here, this is Mike saying good night.
Good night.
Later.
Listen up, man,